Welcome back. How'd it go?
Oh, it was just... I can't describe it. The Greek islands are so gorgeous. We started off on Lesbos, which, despite the name, is teeming with testosterone. And then we took a small boat... Is something the matter?
Joyce, you look incredible.
Thank you. Well, by the way, did you get my postcard?
Yes.
Well, they had all the usual ones. You know, little old ladies making clay pots and panoramic views of ancient ruins. But I just felt that a bloke in a G-string doing handstands was more typical.
Joyce! Where is it?
What?
Well, Joyce we all know and love. The midriff bulge, the split ends, and the size 10 crow's feet.
I've been on holiday. It's amazing what 2 weeks of nibbling goat's cheese and avocado can do.
Yes, it is, considering you normally rub them in your face. Does that tan go all the way to...
Take my word for it. The largest white bit is under my wedding ring.
Oh.
Speaking of which, I expect you've both got something you can't wait to tell me. Some little piece of wonderful news?
George Hope Wynne got a chicken bone stuck in his throat. Pity he wasn't eating an elephant.
I'm referring to your wedding. But surely you've set the date by now.
Joyce, there isn't necessarily going to be a wedding.
There most certainly is. I want this photograph.
What Jonathan means...
I don't give a damn what he means. Now, you listen to me. Sheila's got a rock-solid witness, because you proposed and I heard you very clearly.
Yes, but I didn't accept.
So don't think you're going to wriggle out of this.
Joyce, I didn't accept.
Because Sheila and I've got the full weight of the law behind
For God's sake, will someone give her an ear trumpet?
Sit down, Joyce.
I don't want to sit down. I want to be a matron of honour.
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
What?
Well, she swans in here like Lady Muck, with her all-over tan, wearing an outfit that would have been too young for little Nell.
Sheila hasn't turned me down. She just wants more time to think it over.
So there is still going to be a wedding?
Well, you know...
You vicious ratbag.
Welcome back. And if all Greeks look like the one in that postcard, I'm surprised they've got time to learn the bouzouki.
Oh, I'm sure she'll say yes. But while you're waiting, I've got some holiday snaps I knew you'd be dying to see.
Ah, yeah, well...
Dr. Haslam, do
Now,
you
I haven't got many, but there's a story behind every one.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were busy.
No, not if it's urgent.
Urgent?
You know, if I'm wanted, up the corridor.
Oh, I see. No. It'll wait.
Now, this one's really interesting. It's of the baggage handlers at Gatwick.
Charity function. Surely you've seen the poster. It's been on all the notice boards for weeks.
Well, frankly, old boy, I prefer not to read the notice boards. If they're not asking one for money or blood, they're graphically explaining how to do things one could be shot for in the armed forces. Morning.
Sheila Sabatini has got some unheard-of author coming.
Excuse me.
What? Yes. To read extracts from whatever rubbish it is he's written, and everyone's expected to pay money to listen.
Didn't you know?
Yes, George knew. I'm simply passing it on to this small band of Tuareg nomads here.
Anyway, all the notice.
Yes, thank you, I've said that.
Hi. Morning.
Morning.
As I was
tonight
saying...
at 9 o'clock.
Yes, in aid of...
Sorry, can I just...
Really?
Well, I hope to God it's in aid of a new changing room. You say he's not very well known, this chap.
One couldn't point him out in a crowd of two. Who is going to pay good money to hear some total non-entity?
Oh, for crying out loud.
Would you mind just waiting outside?
Yes, I would. I've got work to do. Excuse me.
As you can see, we're packed in tight enough to qualify as a meatloaf.
Well, you're changed. Get out.
I say, steady on.
Get out.
Well, all you're doing is standing there like a saline drip.
Excuse me, could I pass by?
I'm discussing something with George.
Yes, the usual load of old rubbish, I'll bet.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least, since your wife-to-be is arranging it.
Hey!
I'm ready! Come on!
I've stayed for this a long time.
Stand back, George! I don't want to catch you with an uppercut!
Oh, my God!
Sheila, you don't think all this waiting for you to say yes might be affecting Jonathan? No. I mean, 2 weeks to make up your mind is a very long time. How long was it before you said yes to your first husband?
Oh, it was different. He was Italian.
So?
Well, if you don't say yes to a Tuscan in 0.3 of a second, they propose to 6 other women. Some of them do it anyway and just bank on a few dropping out. Apart from which, I didn't say yes, I said sì. And grazie. And prego molto bene. And per favore, lento, lento. So it was different with Remo. He knocked me off my feet, and when I got up, I was pregnant. Jonathan has not even told me he loves me. He's so laid back, he needs guy ropes.
Dr. Haston's having a fight with Mr. Copeland. What? Well, they haven't actually hit each other, but Giles is trapped in the middle and he's dropped his asthma inhaler. Goodness. Can I just say, I think you look really stunning.
Thank you.
And I promise, I haven't said a word to anyone.
About what?
If the words cosmetic surgery come up, I just say no. She had a nice holiday in Greece and come back like a new woman.
I have been to Greece.
Right.
You stay where you are!
I'm a highly respected consultant surgeon, and I demand to smash that man in the face!
Neil, believe me, you've had enough. Look at him. I haven't landed a punch yet.
I've never seen a more disgraceful exhibition in all my life, and I've seen some disgraceful exhibitions. I remember one, it was 1958.
George, not now. And you...
As director of surgery, I will not have violence in these theatres. If he moves, wallop him. Do you realise that any second now, patients are going to be coming through those doors? I will not have them frightened out there with them. Morning, Giles.
Morning.
I think that showed him, don't you, George? Man's a wimp. I think we all noticed his legs turned to jelly.
Do you think you ought to sit down, old boy?
No. I've still got the old adrenaline pumping away. It's a marvellous feeling, don't you think? Tell me, as someone who once boxed for the hospital, you got any tips you could give me to improve my style?
Well, personally, old boy, I wouldn't jump around so much. It looks impressive, but mostly it just wears out the floor tiles.
Oh, right you are. Still did the trick. Yes. My strategy, you see, was to make him nervous. I expect you noticed how the fellow was trembling.
Pathetic.
Yes, I know.
Two grown men fighting. What do you do? Pinch your marbles?
It's just that sometimes Neil Copeland gets on my nerves, that's all. I'll tell you what, if Michael hadn't have been there, this would have been Neil Copeland.
I doubt it. He's in for an anal stretch.
Well, you know what I mean. Look, can we just forget about the whole thing, please?
Come on, put him up, big boy. I'm ready. Come on.
Giles?
Yes, I'm coming.
Stand by your man.
Look, you don't go around hitting people just because they get on your nerves. If I did that, George Hopewin would reek permanently of TCP. Mind you, if he'd step up on his aftershave. What does he use? Skunk by Whipsnade Zoo?
I think so.
So I got a bit overheated. Maybe I've been a bit more on edge. Just recently.
Yes, anyway.
Maybe I feel I've been mucked about too much for too long.
Now, this...
So to let off some steam, I decided to clobber Neil Copeland.
Good, right. Now, normally for extensive third-degree piles, a hemorrhoidectomy is the best solution. But in this case, where it's not quite so bad, we're going to perform what we call Lord's procedure. And despite the name, it doesn't mean praying to God that the little barnacles will disappear. Basically, Giles here is going to stretch the anal sphincter by hand. Giles?
God, I hate doing this.
Jonathan?
Yep, when you're ready.
Now, you'll notice that I check with the anaesthetist, because believe me, the patient does not want to be awake for this.
If I had the choice, I wouldn't be awake for it.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Sheila, he's here. He's here.
Who is?
Richard Osborne, in my office.
What, already? Oh.
That would be your famous author, would it? Come to read chunks of his multitudinous scribblings for our delectation?
I take it you're not a fan of his books?
I've never heard of him. I'm more of a trollop man myself.
Yeah.
Surely you could have found someone slightly more eminent?
Yes, I could have dug up Hemingway. It might have been nice to have Death in the Afternoon read by an actual stiff.
You've never heard of Richard Osborne? He's the one who wrote the Nurse Montague mysteries. Now, it's about this nurse who's also a detective, and every time someone's brutally murdered in a hospital, she finds the killer, which surprises everyone because she's only trained in stuff. I've been to Greece. Cheryl, what have you been telling Mr. Coates?
Now, despite your reservations, as this evening is in aid of the hospital scanner appeal, I hope you'll be buying a ticket.
Sheila, just a...
Yes! Yes!
Well, I wouldn't bother turning sideways with your paunch. The target's 4 foot wider.
John!
The day I'm afraid of you will be the day you have a muscle as big as your mouth.
Listen, pal.
Excuse me! I learned this in an article on what to do if your pit bull gets hysterical, and I'm warning you, after step 2, it can only cock its leg with the aid of a car jack.
Excuse me, I just heard that Richard Osborne is here.
Yes, that's right.
Richard Osborne, the author.
No, Richard Osborne, the moose rustler. And I should keep your head down. He stuffs the big ones.
Well, I'll just pop along and say hello.
No, I'd rather you didn't. He's expecting to be met by me.
And he still turned up.
I'm warning you.
Neil, as you know, he trained as a doctor. So I suggested to Dorothy, his agent, that he might like to spend the day with me in my theatre, and I'm anxious to avoid him being mobbed by a gawping ear, nose and throat specialist.
As a matter of fact, I know
I'm
him...
sure if you're patient, he'll sign an autograph for you.
Sheila, may I introduce Mr. Richard Osborne?
Oh, yes, of course. How do you do? I'm Sheila... George.
Dickie, my dear fellow. You're looking well.
Not so bad.
Grace and I missed you awfully at the golf club dinner.
Oh, yes, that I had to go to New York.
Oh, yeah.
Do you hear anything of Barry at all?
Oh, good Lord, no, not for months. You know his wife stuck by him.
Yes, I must have read every book you've ever written.
Really?
Oh, wonderful stuff.
Yes, we all have our particular favourites. Which one's yours?
Nurse Montague and the Chainsaw Maniac, wasn't it?
Yes, to my mind, that book is a masterwork. Rarely have I been so...
I've never written one called Nurse Montague and the Chainsaw Man.
You're quite sure?
Positive.
Perhaps it was another maniac. The bread knife psycho, the gardening implement zombie.
Oh, for heaven's sake, the gardening implement zombie.
Yes, I wrote that one. Quite a big seller, as a matter of fact.
Excuse me.
Hello. Remember me? I get so angry when I see your books in the bargain bin at Woolworths.
What's up?
George, all right?
I'm afraid not, no. Much as Grace would love you both to pile round for dinner after Dickie's recitation,
Yes.
She feels it might be a bit of a strain on the cat.
Cat?
Well, she's not especially worried about his health, but when it gets excited, it sheds its hairs on the scatter cushions. Anyway, I'm sure you'd like to look around the department.
George, actually,
No, come along, I'd love you to see our new MRI scanner.
I want Cheryl to stop telling people I've had a facelift.
I don't think she has.
Don't give me that. Every time I talk to somebody, their eyes wander up and down looking for nips and tucks.
Well, that's not Cheryl's fault. I mean, you do look terrific.
I have lost a few more pounds.
How do they do that?
What?
Well, Giles told me they've got this machine now that just sucks the fat out in big blobs and it drops into a bucket.
No, I didn't.
I have tried very hard to like you. Thank God I never managed it.
I always thought that when I became a surgeon, people would treat me with respect.
Why?
Don't know, really.
Excuse me. Have you got any tickets left for tonight? To see Mr. Hopewin's friends?
I'm surprised you've heard of him. He's not that famous.
Oh, he is. They turned his book into a TV series.
Yes, well, there was a gap after they dumped Muffin the Mule.
Anyway, I'm just pleased you're not upset he ignored you completely. Because if I've been going around saying I knew this famous author...
Sister, if the trains in this country were clockwork, I have no doubt that you could wind them all up with your mouth. But don't kid yourself that everyone's a pushover just because Joyce rises to your bait like a ravenous mullet. I have the tongue that split the atom.
You know what I fancy?
No.
I fancy really slagging someone off.
Jonathan!
Come on, roll up! Anybody want a real thundering mouthful? Giles!
No thanks, I've already had one.
All right. You've made your point. Look, I know you're ticked off because I'm taking so long to make up my mind.
Sheila, I proposed to you 2 weeks ago. Now, on the whole, I'm a patient man. Anybody who as a kid tried to breed slugs gets used to twiddling his thumbs. But there are limits, and it's about time you gave me a straight yes or no.
Jonathan, do you love me?
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking if you'd like a wagon wheel in your lunchbox. It's a serious question, only you've never actually said it.
I love you.
Yes. You see, when you say that, as a woman, I am supposed to feel all sorts of bodily fireworks and hooters going off, a sort of Notting Hill Carnival of the bosom.
And you don't?
I can hear the coffee pot dribbling, but that's about it. See, what I'm looking for is a bit more passion.
Well, you can't complain on that score. Good God, we were at it for 2 hours last night.
That's not what I meant.
And I wasn't the one who nipped out halfway through to stick a skirt in the tumble dryer.
When I say passion, I'm not talking about what goes on in the bedroom.
It wasn't in the bedroom.
I know where it was. I just think this might be a kind of a marriage of convenience. You know, I was free and you were knocking about, so we thought, oh, well, if nothing else turns up.
It's not like that at all.
No, maybe not, but it's not exactly Carmen, is it?
I've never seen Carmen.
I think that's what I mean by passion. It's this feisty woman, pursued through the streets by this big, steaming matador, who bursts into song every time she flashes an ankle.
And where is this? Stoke-on-Trent?
Sometimes, yes! Only the girl's name is Rita and the bloke is a big, steaming spot welder.
I see. So basically, my problem is I'm not big and steaming.
Not big. Jonathan, you are the tallest man I have ever met. The only thing missing is King Kong sat on your head being shot at from biplanes.
So we've narrowed it down to a lack of steam.
No. Chug along quite nicely when fully stoked.
Sheila, I've asked you to marry me. What's the answer?
Of course, the older parts of the hospital are steeped in history. The canteen, for example, is home to a virus that goes all the way back to the Black Death.
Oh, George, speaking of lunch...
Oh, my dear fellow, you must be absolutely starving.
I've arranged sandwiches on the 4th floor.
Sandwiches?
Yes, you know, bits of bread with things stuffed inside.
Well, mind you, the spotted cow does do a rather tempting steak and kidney pud.
Ah, now you're talking.
Now, I'm sure Mr. Osborne wouldn't want to disappoint anyone.
Disappoint who?
The person who's just buttered 200 slices of haggis.
I refuse to give our distinguished guest sandwiches.
Well, unfortunately, the NHS doesn't run to a pig on a spit. When Prince Philip visited the children's ward, all he got was a beaker of squash and a jam tart.
George, I really could do with a drink.
Absolutely. I trusted you could furnish our guests with a pint.
Of PG Tips, yes.
George, I thought perhaps the spotted cow for lunch. Maybe steak and kidney pud, perhaps a swift half of Bodley's. Bodley's? You've never tried it?
My dear fellow, if my wife sprayed it behind her ears, I'd agree to a second honeymoon.
Right. Now, where were we?
Oh!
Yep. Square one.
It's sheer bad manners. I do all the work to get that 10th-rate hack to come along and George Oakwin just barges in and... Joyce, what have you done?
Well, clearly nobody liked my new look, so I've gone back to my old one.
Oh, I loved your new look. I was just afraid you might lose your bus pass. What have you done to your face?
Put the bags back.
Put the bags
Don't play the innocent with me. You always said that I had bags under my eyes big enough to carry a week's groceries.
Yes, but...
So big, in fact, that on the plane to Greece, they'd have to be stowed in the overhead locker.
I was trying to avoid you being charged excess baggage.
Never again will I try to look my best. No more counting the calories. And let me tell you, I have been very strict.
Where's that one?
I've been feeding the pigeons.
Oh, and that's why you've got a little crumb of icing on your lip, is it? Overcome with gratitude, a starving pigeon with a beak full of bun swooped down and gave you a big peck on the mouth.
It's hardly surprising I've lapsed back into bad habits. All I've had since I came through that door this morning is jealousy, bitchiness, and downright insults.
George, that's all any of us ever gets, mainly dished out by you.
Just tell me one thing. Do I look like somebody who's recently had cosmetic surgery?
Yes, by Baron von Frankenstein.
There's a man on the phone saying, do you want horseradish with the beef? And should he cut the crust
Oh, my
off?
God, he's still buttering.
Happy now?
Oh, no. You must really hate me. I didn't mean any harm, you know. Telling everyone he'd had a facelift.
All right, we'll say no more about it.
I really am sorry.
I know.
I didn't realise it had dropped so fast.
Drop?
I mean, they do say it can happen with older people. Someone told me Elizabeth Taylor...
I am young enough to be Elizabeth Taylor's husband.
Look on the bright side. If you sue the person responsible, you can have it fixed and have your nose done. Anyway,
Sheila!
you're not allowed in here.
I'm practicing for a sex change. Come on, Charles told me you came in here. I'm getting fed up of you stomping off all the time. I've asked you to marry me and I want an answer. Are you coming out of there or do I have to bash this door down? Oh. Well, where the hell is she? Giles, are you busy?
No, not exactly.
Wonderful.
My dear boy, you're just the fellow.
Would you like another cheese and piccalilli?
Perhaps you could donate them to the Salvation Army. Or McAlpine. McAlpine? Oh, the bungalow with the blasted thing.
This bread is perfectly fresh. It's the cheese that'll shoot through your innards like Halley's Comet.
Is cheddar supposed to have blue veins?
No, that's the ham.
We were just on our way to the changing room.
Well, don't let me stop you.
No, quite.
Where's Mr. Osborne?
Huh?
I want to settle the arrangements for this evening.
Osborne?
Mr. Osborne, you took him to lunch at the Spotted Cow.
Oh, yes. Have you sold a great many tickets so far?
Yes, I think George would be more than happy to explain everything. I have a list at 2 o'clock, so I'll just toddle off.
Yeah, that's the way. You know, I think I'm going to vomit.
Oh, please. What?
Hit him!
Sheila?
My dear lady.
Hit him now!
What's it worth?
What?
Sheila, you can't go around hitting people just because they get on your nerves. So I'll make a bargain. I'll clobber George if you tell me whether we're getting married or not. Yes or no?
Yes!
Right! I'll get a mop. George, dig out some air freshener, will you?
Oh, absolutely, old boy.
Your boobs! You could get those done! Leave me alone!